of the fraudsters, but would not
Oh,
identities.
whoa, okay. Bro, that's the most YouTube shit of all time. Yeah, we know they did something illegal. It goes even deeper. It was orchestrated by a group who Bungie actually claimed videos who Bungie actually claimed videos last year. Check Young's video. Did he already cover it? Let's see. Bungie slam YouTube for awful DMCA security. Sue frauds issuing fake takedowns on Destiny 2 content.
Over the past week or two, you may have been hearing
Thanks
about
CC
some
and
copyright
Miro.
issues when it comes to Bungie
I know
and
it.
Destiny videos getting
there's
taken
DLC.
down, but Bungie not knowing why it's happening, and this whole situation that I've been sitting on to see how it evolves, and now we got, I think, a better idea for what transpired, and I'd like to delve into that story.
So it apparently lasted
On
for
March
5
20th
days.
Of 2022, when we began to see activity from content creators who were complaining that their Destiny videos were being taken down. Now, here is one Twitter user at my name is Biff, or just Biff. He deleted the first 2 tweets,
Thanks,
but
Resub
here's
Killer.
what that read like based on this Wayback Machine archive. Hey, Bungie, mind telling me why or how my typical lore content is in violation of your 80-20 rule? The 80-20 rule referring to Bungie's community content creation policy, where you can't just like upload ripped content from the game, but if it's transformative enough where at least 20% of the content feels user created, then that's fair game. If it
That seems pretty arbitrary. What dictates user created? So like if you're showing strategies for a raid that's still just the gameplay of the game, does that count? I really don't know. So if we have any like Destiny fanatics, I'd really like to know what that 80-20 means. Yeah, but not everyone's going to be doing commentary for the game. Like, if you're just showing strategies or something for Destiny 2 with no commentary, does that not count as transformative? Thanks, Resub Stride, Shadow, Buttercat, Crystal, and the Tier 1 Hazy. Oh, you can't just upload straight cutscenes or music. Gotcha. Okay, so it's mainly just for that kind of shit. Any kind of gameplay is probably fine then. Okay, that seems fair.
does somehow violate the rule, then perhaps myself and the rest of the YouTube community should find another job. This takedown is clearly against Bungie's own policy on community-created content. I'm not normally one for rudeness, but whoever is over as CSC, which is the company that handles Bungie's copyright stuff, needs to be reined in hard and reminded of your policy. Are you going to choose them or the community? It's them or us.
Damn, that's a hardline stance.
The was pretty pissed off, believing that it was Bungie who was issuing all these unfair takedowns, DMCA takedowns. And then the series of tweets concluded with, hate to at you all on a Sunday morning this early, and I believe these are all community managers, but this is getting out of hand. I, for one, am laying the blame at the feet of CSC. Reminder to everyone, the community managers and Bungie didn't do this. Don't.
So did they take it down, or was it claimed? I may have misheard. Let me see. Oh, it got striked. Wait, that's... So, what? Wait, what? They don't even make any money off that. Usually when someone's impersonating a company and doing, like, copyright abuse on the YouTube system, it's claiming, because then you get the money from the video. And YouTube doesn't ask any questions, so you just get the money. You get nothing from striking it. Except sued by Bungie, I suppose.
CSC, which is the company that handles Bungie's copyright stuff, needs to be reined in hard and reminded of your policy. Are you going to choose? Recent TWAB video was taken down and copyright struck. What is going on? The video is instantly removed and doesn't even allow us to check what was wrong. So yeah, from March 20th, 2022 onwards, there were widespread reports of a number of content creators who were getting their Destiny content unfairly taken down by DMCA. And people were just confused why this was happening, what's going on, what's their recourse given that this is their livelihoods. Beyond that, a number of YouTube channels who have been up for a while now uploading Destiny soundtracks, many of those tracks were being taken down.
Damn, they got everything.
And all of this was discussed in this Reddit thread with almost 4,500 upvotes that links to all of the different occasions and situations and scenarios where these DMCA takedowns happened. Now, Bungie was quick to respond and assured everyone that this is not them, that they're going to look into it and try to resolve it. They tweeted, "We're aware of a series of copyright takedowns on YouTube and we're actively investigating. This includes content on our own Bungie channels. These actions are not being taken at the request of Bungie or our partners. Please stand by for future updates." So bizarrely enough, not only were Destiny videos of content creators being taken down, but
yeah, that's so bold. That's so fucking bold.
Being DMCA struck, which obviously is normal, and goes to highlight that Bungie really wasn't behind this. They were just as confused as everyone, and that clearly some third party was engaging nefariously. And once people came to that realization, things calmed down a bit.
Exit Tier 1 Jordan.
This was not Bungie or one of their partners. It's unclear who did this, but one thing is clear: third party is to blame, not Bungie or their partners. We'll get to the bottom of this together. Here we have another response from Twitter user Cheese Forever, who tweeted, "Bungie got
very enigma
copyright claims. I don't know if anyone has heard the stories, but basically any company can claim they own any audio on YouTube, leading to false claims to take profit from individuals."
So I'm sure we'll get to motive in a moment, but a couple people in chat have said that the leading theory is that this was orchestrated by a group that was angry at Bungie for when their content got actually taken down by Bungie. So they just wanted to cause as much harm as possible. But inadvertently, those dudes might end up being heroes. Like, they'll definitely face some real big legal ramifications once they get identified, and I don't think that they're super turbo masterminds who are somehow going to evade Bungie and whatever extremely expensive subpoenas and whatever else they're going to use to find them. But Bungie now might actually change YouTube for the better. All as a result of some fucking turbo virgins going a little too wild. So those dudes might end up just being like actual saviors.
Looks like that's happening with Bungie Music, essentially spotlighting the lapse in DMCA security on YouTube's part. Anyone can go to the website and pretend to be anyone and copyright claim anything. And while false claims tend to eventually be resolved, it'll still waste people's time and money and put content creators' livelihoods at risk or cause a whole lot of harm. And it can happen to not only individual creators, but...
So that's a good question. I don't mean to keep cutting it off, but how would Bungie even find them? I think it'd actually be super easy. So in order to file those, it's actually a pretty tedious process. So in order to file those kind of takedowns, you have to give a lot of information, and that information has to be somewhat verifiable. Like, you can't have a bot that does it. So there is real people on the other end of it using, at some level, real information. So once Bungie subpoenas YouTube, they're fucked. Like, all of that is fucked. And in this article, it does say that they are subpoenaing, I believe, right? Yeah, it will discover them soon via subpoena or otherwise. So I don't think there's any chance they're somehow going to evade that, because they did take the shit down, which means they did provide legitimate information somewhere along that pipeline, which Bungie will get. Is there any truth to these rumors? What? It's not a rumor. A ton of Destiny videos were taken down, including Bungie's own Destiny videos, by a group that is not affiliated with Bungie. What the fuck are you talking? What? Oh, he's talking about the theory. Oh. Yeah, no, nothing about that. That I think is still just a theory, according to chat. He hasn't mentioned it yet. I'm just going by what chat's been saying. But regardless of whether or not that was the motive, what is clear is that people were behind false takedowns, and there is a subpoena most likely on its way from Bungie, and a lawsuit is in effect.
To major companies like Bungie as well, which really spotlights the lapse in security on YouTube's part. Now, slowly we
Thanks,
did
Resub.
start
Sweaty,
seeing
Waft, and the
struck-down
Prime
Destiny
player and
content
future.
coming back.
Resub
Biff, for
Pancake.
example, tweeted this the following day on March 21st, 2022. Sigh of relief, no video today, but at least this one is back up. Hopefully this mess can be sorted out sometime soon. Bungie then issued another response on March 24th, 2022. Clicking on the link will take you to this blog post, and in one of the sections they highlighted how going forward we'll be allowing certain Destiny music tracks to be uploaded on channels for archival purposes, with 3 conditions outlined here. It cannot be a soundtrack song that Bungie has already released or posted elsewhere publicly. The content cannot be monetized. The creator needs to obtain permission from Bungie by contacting this email, licensing@bungie.com. So as long as the intention is archiving and preserving the music, it should be no problem as long as Bungie's made aware of it. So they're being more lenient and flexible about this aspect, and a lot of people found this to be good news. Thank you.
I also would like to say one thing. While I don't like Destiny 2, like, at all, I think it's very boring, I really like the way Bungie handles internet content creation. They do the hypest shit for their streamers. What was it? I think it was last year, or maybe the year before. They did something where gifting a sub to your favorite Destiny streamer got you in-game items. So they just wanted to show support to the content creators that play Destiny, and I thought that was so fucking generous. Like, I thought that was such a cute idea. Final Fantasy XIV did that too? Who did it first? I'm curious. Because that is a really adorable idea, just showing support to the people that love the game. Final Fantasy XIV did it first? Even still, not many games do that. Not many companies do that. So even if Final Fantasy XIV was first, it's still very nice that Destiny followed suit. Thanks to the resub Nivixian and Berto.
Thank you, and everyone that made this happen. I'll be sending an email out as soon as I can. I want to make sure I'm doing everything right. And then Biff also tweeted about this in a positive light. Big win for the archivists. Super glad that Bungie is willing to extend a hand of faith to people saving Destiny's music. I know quite a few of them, and the passion this community has for preserving Destiny's music is fierce. Love that they finally got clarity on this. Keep in mind that Bungie does vault Destiny content, which means that there's some content from the past that's gone forever, and that music would also be lost if it weren't for the archivists. So for that purpose, people are cheering that Bungie is being flexible on this. And Bungie's response and reaction to this whole situation, they've handled it very well, and they've kept in touch with the community, and they've made sure that people are aware that Bungie isn't doing this, and they're seeking recourse, and they've just been handling the situation correctly, so kudos to Bungie on that front.
I completely agree.
Which finally brings us to what's been revealed about this whole situation. This was first reported by news outlet Torn Freak in an article whose headline reads, Bungie files lawsuit to punish senders of fake Destiny DMCA notices. So Bungie's not playing around here. They are engaging in a full-on lawsuit, and in the lawsuit they have gone on to explain what they think happened, and based on what I read, it honestly seems pretty legitimate what they've presented. So the article begins with a minority of online actors view DMCA notices as tools to disrupt and disappear content that isn't infringing at all.
Oh, we're getting goofy.
The DMCA system has been abused time and again, be it by trolls or by people who are not pleased by certain criticisms in a video, so they try to take it down that way, who abuse the system for their own reasons, for selfish reasons, for reasons that are not legitimate, that are not what DMCA laws were made for. Bungie issued another statement revealing that the takedown notices were sent from a fraudulent Google account that was crafted to mimic anti-piracy partner CSC. Google eventually terminated the account, began reversing the fraudulent takedowns while removing copyright strikes against YouTube users. Bungie went on to criticize Google for processing the fake notices, but noted that the company had agreed to implement improvements to reduce such mistakes in the future.
Yeah, hey Bungie, if you're listening, that's what they said to us like 2 years ago. Either they're really cooking up something fierce over there, or they're just placating. When we brought that shit up to their policy team, whenever we talked to them, that is the same shit they were telling us, and it's been 2 years. I would say they're not moving fast or moving at all on that front. So I'd say don't let that give you any kind of security there. Just continue hog wild, go full throttle with your lawsuit. It's the only way to make them do anything, it seems.
and Google acted to clean up the mess, but it's now clear that Bungie isn't prepared to let this go now that they've gone ahead and filed a full-blown lawsuit in the United States to identify the culprits and hold them to account. What I do love about this is that Bungie isn't just going
Razzle Dazzle
after
and Starfire.
the frauds who pretended to be Bungie and took down the videos and harmed community sentiment against Bungie momentarily and caused this whole mess for both Bungie and the Destiny content creators, but the fact that they're actually highlighting that YouTube is part of the issue. The way they've implemented the DMCA system is just so broken and exploitable. For years, people have been calling out YouTube for this, but they have done nothing about it, and now a major company, Bungie, has been afflicted by this, and even they're complaining about the process of getting a hold of YouTube and resolving situations like this quickly. But I'll get to that in a bit. For now, here are more details. Late Friday, Bungie filed a lawsuit in a Washington court against John Doe's 1 through 10, the currently anonymous senders of the fraudulent DMCA notices. So,
bro, you already know all 10 of those dudes are in a Discord call right now losing their collective fucking minds. Like, I doubt they're hardened criminals ready to be like Jack Bauer getting tortured with like fucking car battery clamped onto their nipples or whatever in court. There's no chance. Like, they are gonna go fucking scary. Like, they're gonna be very frightened by this. Which is probably why they immediately released all of the takedowns. I am very curious to see how this is going to play out, because they're not going to be able to stay anonymous after a subpoena. At all. Thanks to the Resub Cat and the Prime Instinct. The only thing they can pray for is that they're not 18. Like, if one of them's 17 and 3 months old, he might want to just turn himself in and get a lighter sentence. Bungie has... Actually, I'm curious. I think Bungie's a multi-billion-dollar company, right? Let me see. Because Destiny 2 is so huge. What about, like, revenue report 2021? Oh, no, I guess I'm wrong. 200 million. Okay. That's what it was. They got bought for the 3 billion. I thought they were making billions. It was a civil lawsuit. They're suing for damages, not for sentencing the culprits. Oh, what? Wait, where did you see... I guess I haven't read the whole lawsuit yet. I'm literally learning about it now. Is it? I'm not going to read all this now. I'm just going to trust you. Is it really just suing for damages? Damn, I didn't know that. That's huge. Lawsuits are civil, not criminal. Damn. There's a Tier 1 Logan and Tier 1 Monster. Resub Kelly. Well, I guess they can send him to the Shadow Realm with financial debt, which is exactly what YouTube themselves did to that one false flag guy. You guys, we talked about this one. What was his name? Someone remind me of his name. They sued him for $25,000 per instance of false takedown. What the fuck was that guy's name? YouTube slapped the shit out of him. Christopher Brady. Man, chat, you're fucking useless. Christopher Brady. This man got absolutely blasted by YouTube. Notorious false takedown guy. YouTube caught him. And what was I think it was $25,000 per false takedown. I'm going off pure memory though, so we'll see. Brady will also pay $25,000. Oh, no, just $25,000 in total. Damn, it looks like they settled much lower than they went after him for. Man, I remembered this being a lot crazier last time we read about it. That's nothing. $25,000 to an ordinary person is a lot. What are you talking about? Did a little research a while back. This dude only targeted really small Minecraft YouTubers, but YouTube sued his ass anyway. Yeah. Pocket change? What the fuck, man? How rich are the people in chat? Jesus Christ, man. 25 grand is pocket change? Jesus Christ.
Currently, the offenders have not been identified, but this lawsuit is part of that to make sure that they're given the legal means to pursue the identification of these anonymous individuals. The 29-page complaint begins with allegations of abusive notices sent under the DMCA and then lists 5 additional causes of action, including trademark abuse and violations of consumer protection law. Claims which, based on current knowledge, all seem to have merit. The lawsuit states that the bogus copyright complaints not only disrupted Bungie's player community and streamers, but also caused Bungie itself nearly incalculable damage.
True.
There was a period of time where the Destiny community was about to get up in arms against Bungie, and where tons of headlines were made about all of this. This is just not good optics for Bungie, even though there was a clarification in the end. And then the article proceeds to talk about Bungie's issues with YouTube's DMCA system. Bungie then explains that weakness in YouTube systems mean that these types of abuse are easily carried out. Though defendants were able to send fraudulent notices because of a hole in YouTube's DMCA process security. And hole, I think, is an understatement. This is a massive crater we're talking about, which allows any person to claim to be representing any rights holder in the world for purposes of issuing a DMCA takedown. In other words, as far as YouTube is concerned, any person anywhere in the world can issue takedown notices on behalf of any rights holder anywhere. It's not that there's
everyone's hoping that this will change the YouTube system
whatsoever. The article then details Bungie's information on how fraudsters managed to do all of this. Bungie says that as long as fraudsters have a Google account, they can fill out a takedown form and YouTube will process the takedown request with no additional checks or verification.
Well, I didn't know that, actually. That's fucking huge. God damn.
At least major companies have the manpower and resources to fight this kind of thing, but when it happens to individual creators, especially smaller ones who have no recourse or who don't have a big enough name for stories like these to spread like wildfire, what is their recourse? Nothing. There's no security, and there's no way to fight situations like this unless you're a big enough name to make enough noise, or unless you're a company with enough influence and power and resources and manpower. This loophole was exploited between March 17th and March 22nd when a newly created Gmail address, deliberately crafted to look like an email address used by CRC, again the company in charge of Bungie's copyright elements, sent a wave of fake notices to YouTube. They apparently did not look like legitimate CRC notices, but that was a notice at YouTube, meaning that the innocent YouTubers received copyright strikes for no reason. The same Gmail address was used to contact the affected uploaders with messages that attempted to discredit legitimate takedown notices sent by CRC on behalf of Bungie. A second newly created Gmail account was then used to send abusive messages to the email address of Bungie's brand protection vendor. Without any kind of verification system on YouTube's end, anyone can pretend to be any entity and issue any kind of takedowns that they won for any reason whatsoever. And it also allows people to do stuff like this where they can pretend to be a company, behave nefariously, and it makes people believe that the company that the nefarious actors are impersonating are the ones behind all of this when it wasn't them at all. Bungie writes in the lawsuit filing that this caused Bungie significant reputational and economic damage for obvious reasons. The Destiny community was bewildered and upset, believing that Bungie had reneged on a promise to allow players to build their own streaming communities and YouTube channels on Destiny 2 content. A big part of Destiny 2's success is the communal aspect, the community aspect, the content creation aspect. Bungie understands how important the community has been to Destiny's success, and when you go after the community in a way that makes it look like Bungie and CSC went after them, and it causes a major blowback like this, yeah, you can expect a company like Bungie to retaliate. And while Bungie admits it currently doesn't know the identities of those who sent the notices, that's not going to stop them from pursuing the fraudsters. Developer says it will use a DMCA subpoena and other means to identify them and hold them accountable for their tortious and illegal conduct, and frankly to demonstrate to anyone else stupid enough to volunteer as a defendant by targeting Bungie's community for a similar attack that they'll be met by legal process. So Bungie is really not.
I love to see that.
Bungie even went out of their way to highlight some of their most influential content creators, including YouTubers. My name is Biff and Dado, and they stress the importance of the Destiny 2 community. And
did Dado get hit by that shit too? How many people in total got hit by that? Because that's going to drastically change how much money they'll ask from the people. I'm seeing a wide variance here. Some people have said 3, and some people have said a lot, or at least a dozen. So it was 3 big names and a bunch of small streamers. 4 major creators. They're trolling. It's actually a lot. I'm a D2 fanatic. From the way everyone talked about it, it seems like it's a lot more. And I think the biggest one that's going to be a huge problem is they targeted Bungie themselves. So that's going to give them a lot of leeway on damages. That's going to give them a lot of wiggle room to ask a lot of money. So I guess it's not super important how many, considering they hit the actual fucking hornet's nest when they went after Bungie. How much money? Couldn't tell you. Someone in chat said 150k per takedown, which I think maybe is possible. Thanks for your sub, Twisted. Yes, there is a lawsuit against YouTube from Bungie now, which is the huge takeaway. Because they're not only going after the fraudsters, they're going after YouTube for how poorly YouTube's system is implemented, which is fantastic. That is great news. I'm pretty sure they're going after YouTube as well, right? Because that was what I read on Twitter. So they're going after the fraudsters and YouTube, I believe. Alright, I'm back. There's a Prime Boxman, the resub Mike, and Wake and Bake. Alright.
And how messing with that damages Destiny and Bungie as a whole. Or as the article put it, a happy community directly reflects on Bungie's bottom line, and the community was not happy when they thought Destiny creators were being targeted by Bungie. So far, Bungie has not only responded to the situation well, but the retaliation, I think, is fair, especially when you get some context as to why these nefarious actors did what they did. And it all started back in early March when CSC was told to issue 41 DMCA takedowns against videos that, in Bungie's view, violated its policy on use of its intellectual property. So earlier this month, Bungie did instruct CSC to take down certain videos that did violate DMCA.
That's a lot.
That
41?
did not uphold Bungie's community guidelines. Videos that weren't transformative in any way, shape, or form, and just involve songs ripped from the game cutscenes, or anything else that doesn't contain a substantial amount of player-created content.
So this is what they went back on, then.
Ratio where at least 20% roughly of a video should
tier 1
be
player gift sub elite and the resub Kako.
All DMCA notices targeted Destiny 2 original soundtracks that were subsequently removed from YouTube for copyright infringement by March 16th, 2022. Now recall that Bungie has come out and said that we're going to allow people to archive soundtracks as long as we haven't officially uploaded them elsewhere. It seems as though that wasn't the case with this instance, and Bungie said that there was one specific Gmail address that was used to issue those DMCA takedowns. But then on March 17th, the defendants, the John Does at Bungie suing, crafted their own Gmail account to mimic it in order to send the fraudulent DMCA notices.
So this is where that theory comes from then, huh? That those 41 legitimate takedowns from Bungie created these monsters. So in a retaliation, they made these fraudulent accounts and took down the videos further, including Bungie's videos. Okay. Now it's all coming together. Thanks for resub Pyro and the resub Juicy.
Make it look like CSC was doing it when it was actually a fake account pretending to be CSC. Bungie believes that the YouTube users who were impacted by its earlier DMCA takedown notices decided to teach Bungie a lesson by sending out the wave of fraudulent DMCA notices under the name Bungie Inc. They then sent messages to affected uploaders telling them that the original and real Gmail address used for takedowns was a fraud. So basically it would seem as though this whole situation was kickstarted by a couple of disgruntled YouTube users who violated the DMCA guidelines.
Oh, this is very
DMCA
anime.
Strikes who didn't make transformative content, and being upset that their content was taken down, they decided to come up with this whole scheme to do damage against Bungie, but they did so at the expense of a number of content creators. These fraudsters intentionally harmed other content creators to make it look like it was Bungie and CSC going after them. And then to sell the story even more, the defendants also filed a fraudulent DMCA notice against their own YouTube account, which sounds reasonable if the aim is to be seen as a victim. However, they responded to their own fake takedown notice with a DMCA counter notice to YouTube, stating that both the legitimate and fraudulent DMCA notices were fraudulent. Basically just confusing and muddying the waters so that they could harm Bungie and CSC and get some payback because Bungie took down their content, which again didn't meet the guidelines of that 80-20 ratio. And the fact that these fraudsters didn't have to do anything fancy, the fact that it was so easy for them to do this did not go unnoticed by Bungie, and therefore they criticized Google and YouTube.
Oh, so they're not actually suing Bungie or YouTube, they're just subpoenaing them.
Noting that the system introduced significant delays due to an opaque support process that stranded Bungie in a circular loop. One would think, oh, Bungie has access to the top people at YouTube, they can easily contact them and get this taken care of. But even for major companies, support is just god-awful, and they get trapped in these loops that causes delays that just extends the damage for longer periods of time, because YouTube is not only lax in its security, but is also very just unresponsive or very late to respond. In order to get something done, Bungie involved its global franchise and global finance directors, but by March 21st, responses still hadn't arrived. On March 22nd, Google said that it had suspended the accounts of the fraudsters, but would not
use identities. Whoa, okay. Bro, it's the most YouTube shit of all time. Yeah, we know they did something illegal, but we're not gonna do anything about it. Yeah, we could tell you who they were, but we're not gonna. So, okay. Google is withholding the identities. Alright. So, Bungie did file a lawsuit against Google then, in order to get the information. That's fucking crazy. That is actual classic fucking YouTube shit right there. An absolutely nonsensical, stupid fucking decision. I can't believe Bungie, of all things, Bungie, sold for $3.6 billion to Sony, makes $500 million a year on Destiny 2, still gets like the generic YouTube customer support that even a low-level YouTuber gets. That is absolute. You can say a lot of things about YouTube, but they treat everyone equal. It doesn't matter who you are, you're getting absolutely fucked when it comes to like support on an issue. These are the 3 gift subs: Wolverine, and the gift sub Goober, and the resub Scary. I still don't understand why they wouldn't reveal the identities though. If they did finally get it, in order to just get rid of this whole situation, I feel like they would have just made the easier decision of just saying who they were, instead of take it to a legal spot.
Which is why Bungie filed this lawsuit, which will compel Google to do so. The lawsuit notes that one of the defendants sent emails to YouTubers admitting their part in the scheme and blaming YouTube and Bungie for various shortcomings. So there's actual evidence to prove that what Bungie is claiming is true. Here's a portion of the email in question. Finally, I know this hardly means anything, but I apologize to you and everyone else who was affected by my selfish actions. You have every right to be furious with me. My goal was to get Bungie to see the fake takedowns and stop them. That's all. But the irony of these fraudsters' actions is that they became the very monster they were fighting against, if you will. They are criticizing Bungie
what a hero.
for taking advantage of the DMCA system to harm content creators. That's what they claim with their circumstance. But as payback, they decided to hurt content creators for their own gain by coming up with this whole scheme that harms both the company and the content creators. They essentially took sort of a nuclear option instead of approaching this in a better fashion that didn't make them look like hypocrites. And the consequences will be severe. Bungie is piling on with a number of claims, including that defendants sent fraudulent DMCA notices containing knowing and material misinterpretations. By referencing Bungie Inc. in the notices, the defendants stand accused of breaching trademarks, Bungie trademarks, with intent to deceive, and by removing the videos from YouTube which contain copyrighted Bungie content, the defendants infringe the company's right to authorize the public display and performance of copyrighted works. And then here is a quote from the complaint. As such, Bungie is entitled to damages and injunctive relief, including enhanced statutory damages of $150,000 for each fraudulent takedown notice that willfully infringe Bungie's copyrights, throwing in allegations of business defamation, violations of the Washington Consumer Protection Act, and breach of contract for good measure.
Yum! God damn! So this statement right here pretty much confirms what I speculated, that they're young and not like hardened criminals. Where was it? I know this hardly means any... Like this, he gives like an actual twit-longer apology, basically. This is very clearly like probably a 19-year-old kid. These dudes are about to have their whole lives changed as a result of this. Yep, 19-year-old is an adult by law, so he's about to get that full fucking Destiny 2, Wizard from the Moon slam smackdown. That was a Peter Dinklage line from the first Destiny, right? That wizard came from the moon. I'm not misremembering. But luckily they also put YouTube in the crosshairs, and hopefully Bungie will do something about that. That would be the best case scenario. They've already targeted YouTube as a like complacent in this circus, so hopefully they go the next step and maybe try and pile on some type of I don't know, lawsuit against them in some way. I don't really know what. From what I read, they had filed a lawsuit against YouTube, but it seems like they're more just subpoenaing YouTube for the information.
Consumer Protection Act and breach of contract for good measure. They're pulling all stops. They are going all in on discovering every crime that legally happened here.
Some straw hat.
And there seem to be quite a few based on Bungie's filing. But at the end of the day, I'm no lawyer. There's a legal case that's out of all of our hands, and we'll see how this whole situation develops.
Hopefully it influences YouTube as a whole to make it better.
Seems to be in the right. The fraudsters clearly engaged in a way that was harmful to the community and Bungie itself, and based on what we currently know, it doesn't seem like there was any justification for the fraudsters to do what they did, as it would seem as though they didn't follow community guidelines when it comes to content uploads and just straight up ripped content from the game that then they uploaded without any sort of transformative elements, and perhaps they were monetizing it as well, which only makes their case worse. Who knows? We'll see, but yeah, Bungie, I think, has responded appropriately, and their criticism...
Bungie looks really good here.
Not only the nefarious...
Bungie comes out looking great here.
I think are very appropriate. It is YouTube, ultimately, their lack security, their awful DMCA system, and their awful support system that has allowed for this to be far more damaging than it could have been, and for this to happen at all. And I'm glad that Bungie's calling out YouTube on that, because it is not just affecting major companies like Bungie, it is even more adversely affecting individual creators like myself. But even I'm in a more privileged position, because at least I'm well known enough that if I, you know, put out something out there,
they have the Sony power behind them,
claim was issued,
which is what they said. They used like the global distributor or whatever
would resolve this. But for smaller creators, they may go ignored. Nobody might pay attention to them. But now with a major company like Bungie slamming YouTube for this, maybe that will be at least one step forward in helping YouTube realize that their system needs to be updated ASAP, and that they need to implement just something better, something...
Oh, it's coming. Didn't you read it?
That doesn't assume guilty before...
You didn't read their statement? They're working on it.
Something that doesn't tear content creators down before they've had a chance to fight back or to prove that any claims against them were fraudulent. So yeah, that's the current situation, ladies and gentlemen. The short-lived narrative that Bungie was going after their Destiny content creators, that was all wrong, and it made no sense. It certainly did confuse a lot of people while it was happening, but things have been clarified, and now with this lawsuit, there's even more context.
Yeah,
and
that whole group's about to get fucked.
In Bungie's favor.
Goddamn. Goddamn.
And also in terms of optics. On top of the fact that Bungie responded well to the situation, it would seem as though Bungie is in the right here. It would seem as though they have every right to pursue this lawsuit. It would seem as though the damage done by all of this, especially from a PR perspective, was pretty substantial, and Bungie is going to go after the nefarious actors, and they better brace themselves. Because
Nefarious
so far,
is such a good
like,
word.
They don't have much of a defense here, and they've only pissed
Always takes
off
me back to, like,
both a
Saturday
major
morning
company,
cartoons.
Bungie, and its community who were harmed by these fraudsters' actions who claim to be doing this in the name of justice or whatever. This is all one man's take. Let me know in the comments below what your thoughts and opinions are on this whole situation. And to be further updated on all things gaming news,
very well presented again,
discussions, stay tuned right here on Young Yeah. I'll see you guys next time. Young out.
Young does really good coverage of, like, breaking stories like this. I learned a lot from him about the Blue Balls studio, Blue Box, whatever. He really presents it really nicely. Then I didn't have to read through all of the legal claims, which is nice. So then I was misled a bit. They're not actually targeting YouTube with their lawsuit. That's simply a component to get the fraudsters' names. But they're being very vocal about how awful YouTube's system is, which is good. I think they're probably the first major company to call out YouTube's archaic dogshit system. So that's something. I think that's a good thing. But I was really hoping they were also suing YouTube, because it seems like they only respond to legal action.